Hi, Sanjay. It's great to have you here. Welcome to Reboot Room. This is where we talk about technology in hospitality and we bring in experts like you to discuss some hot topics in the hospitality. Thank you for being here. And for the listeners who have been listening to us, for the benefit of them, can you please give us some insights? What have you done and where are you working and what are you busy nowadays with?
Mahmood, first of all, thanks for inviting me for this podcast. It's a real pleasure. By way of background, I have multiple hats. Been a professor, mentor, advisor, consultant. Currently, my active opportunities that I am working on are as head of innovation and research for Thinkers Garden and also an advisor for integrated cybersecurity. So that's kind of my profile for now. And I continue to actively mentor some startups, both here in Dubai and overseas as well. So that's me in short.
Okay, all right. That was very short, but would you like to just elaborate a little bit? Where were you before Thinker's Garden?
Sure. All right. I mean, I can go quickly from a
Yeah.
geographical perspective. Born in India, studied in Russia, worked in Macau, married in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Now working in Dubai. Did my PhD in UK in between. So yeah. So that's basically So
Amazing, amazing. So, we talk a lot or we meet each other during a lot of events and we talk a lot about AI, technology, hospitality, and everything, right? I think you are the most right person to have this discussion with, where let's cut into this hype of artificial intelligence, what's happening around, and all those things. What I see is that there is a lot of hype about artificial intelligence out there, and for the first time, hospitality or the hoteliers are very much excited about it. But somehow they are so much excited about it, they want to have the AI, but I think equally we as in hoteliers are confused about AI as well. Why do you think what's happening right now in the industry?
Well, to begin with, I don't think it's just the hoteliers are the ones who are confused, right? And there's also this FOMO, fear of missing out moment within different verticals. Hospitality is no exception. But the hotel industry in particular has been traditionally a laggard when it comes to technological innovation, right? Probably a decade or so ago, we saw this happening in the era of cloud computing, right? On-prem or cloud. I mean, there was this sudden buzz, then the social media wave, right? So we've been through all these waves. But somehow the AI wave is a little different because it does seem to be having a deeper impact than we've seen in the past technological waves.
Yeah.
So this confusion is more probably to do with, oh, we have this technology, what we do with it, rather than, oh, we have a problem, how can we use AI to solve it? Right? So that could be an angle that needs to be looked at because, oh, just because it's there, we need to use it. Not necessarily.
Okay. But do you think, are we getting too excited too fast about the technology and thinking where it will go in future, and we are not concentrating, especially in hospitality, and we want to implement AI so fast that we are not thinking ahead of the technology itself, that where it's going to lead us? Is it the case that which is leading to confusion to the hoteliers because they don't truly understand the power of it?
Well, in one sense, they cannot be blamed because the pace of change is so rapid in this AI space, right? I mean, as the joke goes, previously when you used to go on a vacation, right, you used to get worried by the time I come back in 2 weeks, what would have changed?
Yeah.
Right now, you go for your lunch break. By the time you come back, you don't know what's changed. Right? I have to attribute this to this person, if I believe correctly, works at Amazon back in Austria. This was through one of my colleagues that I got to hear about this anecdote, which is absolutely spot on. So, hence, to keep pace with the change, right? Oh, if I don't adapt, I will miss out, right? But by the time you start adapting, things have moved on. So that confusion, where do I begin? Where do I go? Is bound to happen.
Yeah. And then you have spoken a lot about, in past also I have seen that you have spoken a lot about what is noise and what is exactly the right dialogues which are being said on the platforms as well. I mean, people with actual knowledge of AI. So how do you recommend us as in hoteliers to differentiate between these? Because see, in the end, not so most of the hoteliers are non-technical background, and they tend to see all this noise on LinkedIn, Facebook, no matter what. I mean, if they don't have even a little bit of technology background as well, they get equally excited, and then they try to talk about these things, and which leads to a lot of confusion in hotel operations as well, because someone might say, you know what, I have seen a tool online which can do all these things, why are we not implementing this? I mean, come on. So what do you recommend to IT leaders or the hoteliers as such, how to keep the correct track of separating noise from the AI knowledge, actual knowledge?
See, it's all about getting exposed to the right sources, right? Because all of a sudden, as we just spoke a while back before the cameras rolled on, right, we see a sudden spurt of influencers, right? And a lot of incorrect information is conveyed, not deliberately perhaps, but they're just not the domain specialists, right? So the people who are actually the domain specialists, they probably don't even have time to shout out loud on social media. So basically the idea to get exposed to the right sort of thought leaders, rather than to listen to what's happening, oh, somebody else has done it, so I have to do it, kind of a thing. And again, a lot of the use cases have typically been done in a sandbox environment. When you go to production, when you go to scale up, you realize the story is very different, right? We've seen this happen even in the past. And the problem with the hospitality industry is when it comes to the tech stack, a lot of this is stuck in legacy tech, right? So therefore, when it comes to sort of determining, all right, will this work in my case or will it not, right? I'm carrying that baggage with me.
Yeah.
The baggage of a legacy tech stack. And even if it could have worked, it may not work because your hands are tied with your legacy tech stack.
And not everyone understands that, especially in the hotel industry, that there are always a very fancy technology can come up tomorrow, but but that does not mean that it will fit into your hotel or not. So that's where they should be aware. I mean, it's responsibility. Who do you think should be responsible for spreading this information? Like, for an example, if there are AI scientists, okay, and they are busy working and they are not propagating what is being developed. Now, don't you think these AI influencers are actually doing that propagating work? I mean, they are the one who are spreading so much of information. They have so much of following. Actually, most of the AI influencers have more following than the actual data scientist or AI scientist itself.
Spot on. I mean, again, it comes to the same point. We come to the same point where you have those who are busy doing stuff, and then those who are new age influencers who just jumped on the bandwagon because it's a cool topic, right? So if you look at and if you want to follow any influencer, just look up their background. Have they had a streak in this domain? Artificial intelligence is not new. It's been around for 70, 80 years now. It's just that it's come of age because we have the right computing capacity. The costs have dropped significantly, right? The data assets have grown adequately to train the models, right? The theory, the concepts, the frameworks have been around for several decades. So those coming with that legacy and now communicating, yes, definitely they have the legitimacy to do that. But all of a sudden, someone watches a few videos and then claims to be an influencer and follows news and blogs from big tech and then talks about, oh, today this model is doing great. Oh, no, this model is beating that model. shouting, that causes a lot of confusion.
That's true. But also, what I have noticed is even vendors. So I've seen a lot of vendors who have brought in AI into their products, AI technology into their products, and they are rebranding or reinventing their product with the essence of AI in their products as well. Now, what is happening is these AI products are being sold as an immediate solution rather than the strategy. So in past, we used to have, especially in the hotel industry, if you are implementing any tech stack, you used to have a strategy of 5 years or at least minimum 5 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we used to have that kind of strategy. Now with the products which has, especially AI products which are being used, like there are small products which are being used, and these are immediate solutions. And these are changing over time, and the easiness is that you can subscribe it with the subscription every month and all that. So the strategy is out of the window now. It's just the immediate solution. Do you think this is the right way where we are moving forward, or implementing even a small solution in a hotel industry should be a strategic move rather than a immediate solution?
See, it's actually a reflection of where society is moving, right? This instant gratification, right? This is something cool. I have to implement it now,
Yeah.
and that's typically the vendor pitch. Oh, and just imagine when you're at the heart of it, it's a legacy stack. You're just sugarcoating it with an AI layer, and it may not even be AI in the real sense of the term, right? And therefore, what happens is when hoteliers get sold on to this kind of hype, right? What happens to the ROI, right? So typically, when everything is measured from this metric, things begin to get a little fuzzy. The assumption is, okay, we will put in fancy technology so that the guests will be wowed. But I'm not sure how many guests want to be wowed that way. Sometimes it can get scary. Even without AI, you just go into a room and you try to figure out where the light switches are.
Yeah.
We've had
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
in the past,
Yeah.
right? So it's sort of put yourself in the guest's shoes. You'll have different types of guests, and this is where the empathy aspect comes in. It's not like what you think is good for the guests or the guests want, right? And you have different personalities. The good thing about AI, we talk about hyper personalization. Hyper personalization is when the AI, the technology is able to recognize what this particular guest prefers. If this guest does not want to have any technology touch point, offer that service to him or her.
Oh, well said. Actually, that's true. Because I want to relate this AI thing in a different manner also. What's happening is, for an example, with the loyalty as well. We were having some discussion recently and we came across this point about loyalty. Now, is our guest today being very loyal or not? For an example, because imagine my friend sharing a post of Instagram to me saying that he visited some place, right, to stay. Now, I might have a loyalty program in one hotel, but do you think that I will wait or I will go to my loyalty hotel, or would I go where my friend has recommended immediately? Right. So nowadays, what's happening is you see and you want to do the same thing itself. And people want to copy each other. And that's where the vendors are pitching in also. They are saying that, this product has been implemented by so and so hotels, and immediately the IT team or the people who are in charge, they try to get that product into the hotel as well without having any kind of strategy. And I think that's causing us a lot of damage. That's what I see around as well. Yeah.
At least I'm not aware where guests choose a hotel based on what technology it offers.
Of course.
We still haven't reached that stage. Maybe there are. I recollect a few years back for novelty value, a henna hotel in Japan, entirely manned by robots, right?
But just to add that, I just read it today. Are you talking about the same hotel where they had some kind of dinosaurs as
Yeah,
well at the
bravo.
reception?
Yes, that's
So
right.
they got shut down.
Yeah,
They got
exactly.
shut down. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. A decade ago, this was cool, right? Oh, you don't see a human, you go for that experience. So the experience itself is dealing with
Yeah.
robots,
Yeah.
right? So you know what you're getting or what you're going for. Yeah, because that has a novelty value. The hotel itself becomes an attraction, right? But if a hotel is being patronized by a guest purely as a hotel and nothing else, then the technology is not going to be a deciding factor,
Yeah.
except for the Wi-Fi.
No, that's true. But don't you think that this should come on the shoulders of vendors as well? I mean, for the vendors who are actually selling this technology, don't you think they are nowadays they are overselling? For every small thing, they put a brand as AI. And they say, what is your product? My product is AI infused or reinvented with the AI and all those things. So AI is some like a magic word nowadays everyone is using. Do you think they are overselling it now that people will get frustrated of it? I mean, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, it's a bit like selling snake oil, really. True AI and AI layered on legacy, or it could even be some minor component of an AI layered on a legacy stack, right? These are two entirely different sort of platforms. And unfortunately, the way it's always played out with vendors in this industry is that mentality about locking in, right? And they make the cost of migration so prohibitively expensive, right? Either technically or financially or both, right? You're forced to throw more good money after bad, right? So even if there is a genuinely cool product, I mean, I'll come to because as I mentioned, I mentor a few startups. They have some amazing solutions, right? When they go to a hotelier to pitch, the first question they get, who else has bought your product?
Absolutely.
Right? No one's willing to experiment. No one's willing to give them a chance. They created a product to break, to give you that break from the legacy players. An alternative universe where it's a plug and play,
Yeah.
right? And you're questioning them who else because you don't
You
have
don't want to take the
the
risk.
risk.
Risk. Yeah.
So this risk aversion has cost this industry quite a lot. Traditionally, if you look at other service sectors, you look at airlines. I mean, part of that same ecosystem: travel, tourism, hospitality, right? Yield management is what they started way back in the 90s, which then came in glamorized as revenue management in the hotel industry much, much later. You look at what gave rise to the OTAs, the online travel agencies, the Airbnbs of this world, right? It's the lack of risk taking which leads to lack of innovation in this industry that creates these competitors who are tech first.
Absolutely. Right.
So, I mean, unless you're willing to experiment, unless you're willing to give a chance, and they're solving a problem for you. They've come with a solution. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think that's what is very important. Like when innovation comes in knocking on your door, you need to answer it. You need to at least make use of it. Do a POC. That's what I think. Also, if you are not ready to invest, it's fine. If you don't want to take a risk, also it's fine. Because hotel is mostly people-oriented business, so that's why the technology was being kept as last. But now, I think as in hotel industry combined, they have an opportunity to do something really good in this scenario. But also from the IT leaders' point of view, what I understand is because we are stuck with legacy systems which are not innovating at the pace of the AI, and that's stopping the innovation as well, because now the systems what we have, or most of the hotels have, they do not talk anything outside the hotel, first of all, I mean, other than the interfaces. And AI is a completely new game, and in order to have this kind of integration and all those things, I think that's where the innovation stops in the hotel industry. What's your understanding about this? I mean, should they be moving away from the legacy, and I don't know, maybe cloud is the solution? What do you say?
Try moving away from the legacy.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I mean, the way vendors have, the big vendors have locked in this entire industry with the legacy systems, and they don't feel the need to innovate because you're locked in.
Yeah.
Right? Now, how are you going to move away? You mentioned cloud, right? Okay. We've seen how technology has evolved over the past couple of decades, from on-prem to cloud, and now it's moving back to the edge. You have edge devices now, right?
Yeah.
How long till the hospitality industry, which is still sort of grappling about migrating to the cloud, etc. So you see the phase lag that we are having in this industry.
Yeah.
Because of the risk averseness. It's not going to affect your operations. At the end of the day, this is a people's industry.
I think that's the main point, because it's not affecting the guests directly. There is always a resistance until to a point where it starts affecting. So what I believe is that people or the hotels which will not innovate, not faster, I would say, but very easily or in near future, if they don't innovate, what they might see is that that because these OTAs are developing so fast with the AI and all that stuff, they are going to take away the business to other hotels. That's what will happen if you are not keeping up to speed with the technology, because right now there are a lot of gateways or a lot of insights which are being given by the other top hotel experts also. So these things are very important for the hotels to keep a tap in. And I think that's where it is holding us also, because most of the hotels, they have legacy systems, like talk about, it's not only the PMS, you have materials management, you have POS, you have HRMS, human resource system. All these are still not up to a level where any outdoor AI can be integrated into it. I mean, that's what I think, that's what is holding us back as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, I know it sounds a bit ambitious, but there's always the possibility of creating a completely alternative tech stack. And I've seen some success stories where people from other verticals have come into the hotel industry and build this from rather than going top down, implementing traditional hotel IT infrastructure. They have just brought in best practices from other sectors, and they seem to be running very successfully. We have a couple of these examples even here in Dubai.
Would you care to share one for an example? I would like to put. Would you be able to share with us an example where because you work a lot with these startups, and something which is related to AI, which has helped a hotel or turn around, or maybe it should have helped, but because of the legacy system, it couldn't help. Anyway, I mean, either a success story or this one. Can you just share one?
Sure. Let's be positive. Let's share a
success story. All right.
So one of the startups that I mentor, Hoik, they're into sentiment mining. Right. This it's more of an F&B case, but fairly applicable to the hotels as well.
Absolutely.
They had a situation where one of their clients kept getting these reviews, awful reviews about their potato wedges on a particular day of the week. Well, the owner just mentioned, hey, listen, I'm just getting, I don't know what's wrong with my wedges. And you look at the social media comments, yeah, sure enough, there was a lot of bad
Comments about it.
absolutely. Now, yeah, okay, there are random comments on different platforms, etc. So, yeah, unless you begin to dig in, you will not know what the real story is. So, what they found out was, I mean, this is all real time, sentiment mining, language agnostic, and the rest of it. What they found out was it's happening only on a certain day of the week. I think it was a Wednesday or something, forget the particular day. So, the first question that was asked, okay, what's so special about Wednesdays? Oh, we have buy one, get one free chicken wings. Okay. Now, what correlation would that have with potato wedges, right? Drill down further into the comments. What's happening in your kitchen? Let's take a look. They had X number of air fryers for the chicken wings and a separate set of fryers for the potato wedges. But because of the buy one, get one free, the demand was so overwhelming, they couldn't cope with it. So they used to use the air fryers for which were meant for potato wedges to make chicken wings as well, right? And then make the wedges in the same sort of...
All right. So they were able to pinpoint.
So the level of granularity, right, which you get, this is something only a startup can do. You won't have your big players like the review pros, the trust yous, the revenates, even taking you down that discovery path, right? Okay, you get your reports, you can see maybe real-time dashboards at most. But this hand-holding, which can only happen with startups because they want, A, they have the technology, B, they have the depth to go into the drill down to see what is the core problem, not just to tell you this is what's happening. Dashboards are all great, right? But the ability to actually solve, has it solved your problem? You know there's a problem. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first step. Half the problem is solved, knowing the problem. But looking at the data in real time, digging in deeper, asking the right questions, the loop that you create, and this is where the human in the loop matters a lot. Right? We talk about automation, we talk about augmentation, but the human in the loop, the AI did its bit in finding out the patterns, etc. But the human in the loop eventually was able to kind of take this forward. Right? Yeah, maybe once we have AGI, even that might be completely taken over by the machines. But we're still not there.
No, but the example what you have given is that's the actual right example for this conversation, because I wanted to mention about it. See, hospitality is completely different game when it comes to AI, because it involves lot of people, lot of sentiments, lot of characteristics about guest which you need to calculate, which you need to check, which normally you cannot figure out just by looking at a comment. You need to see the patterns, you need to see all these things. Now you happen to mention about one of the startup solution what you have mentioned. Are they already having clients already?
Oh,
okay,
yes,
they already
absolutely.
have. Okay.
And this is the other, I mean, this startup was actually created to serve the SMEs, right? Because obviously, unlike the big brands, they don't have money to splurge on fancy tools, right? Solving the same problems at a fraction of the cost and in a more personalized way, right? What they realized was they were not getting the traction in the hospitality industry because the industry was, I mean, particularly the SMEs, right? It was more about educating them. They didn't see the value of data-driven decision making. This is flashback 3 to 4 years back when the startup was founded, right? So they pivoted to other sectors. They got a great traction in healthcare.
Yeah.
Right? So a startup created, because the founder, he's come from the hospitality industry. He knew what the problems were, right? And then he realized my own industry is sort of letting me down.
Do you think that the hospitality industry are afraid of adopting the new technology because thinking that it might reveal how outdated they are? Could that be the reason? Because usually when we talk about any fancy stuff, immediately something comes to our mind saying, oh, we are not on that kind of fancy PMS, or we are not on that kind of fancy material controls. And I'm talking about in general, not the top end hotels. I am sure they are doing quite well for themselves, but
Don't be so sure.
no, I'm just saying. So I'm sure there must be someone who is driving something, but I'm talking about in general across the number of countries. Not, I can take an educated guess that not everyone is capable have that kind of systems, right? And to bring in such kind of technology, like for an example, the startup which you mentioned, does it require that I should not be on the legacy system? Does it have to do anything with that?
I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to connect with any of the legacy tech stack, right? And the questions that they get asked, oh, do you provide an API to the PMS? Oh, it's not needed. Yeah. Yeah, you can. I mean, if you want, but try asking any of your legacy. The cost of giving the API, they will fleece you. It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Right. So the ability to correlate sentiment with your financial metrics is completely devoid of integration with your legacy tech stack.
Right.
And this is often lost because there could also be that fear. We've talked about this as well, that, oh, if the system is able to do this better than me, I might lose my job.
Yeah, that's kind of...
it's like, oh, okay, I want to make sure this ladder has brought me up, so let me not kick it while I'm still standing on it. So there is that element of fear, right? I mean,
do you think that fear is correct, or is it overhyped? Because I do see that kind of fear which floats around everywhere on social media, in the news as well. I mean, like, it's not just the social media or from the AI influencers also, but if it's in mainstream channels also talking about how everyone is going to lose job and all those things. So the fear is real, but whether it's coming from the right source or not, we don't know. But in general, public is quite aware that it's going to happen. So what do you think? Is it going to happen now? Or are we talking about somewhere 20 years in future or something?
No, the change is definitely happening. It's how we adapt, right? I mean, one of the sort of, again, there are contrary views to that as well. But one of the views is that those with AI skills or the ability to adapt will have a better chance of survival than those who who have that frog in a well syndrome, right? Yeah. Who just feel, okay, I have achieved this with these crutches, and hence I'm going to stand on these crutches even though the ground under me is giving way.
That's true. Okay, let's talk about doing it right. So we have talked about what we are doing wrong. Let's talk about doing it right. Okay. Like for an example, if a new hotel is opening up, what should their AI strategy should be nowadays? Because now AI strategy is being talked about at in the closed door, in the boardrooms as well, that they need to have some kind of strategy, something related to AI. What do you suggest for the hotels who are just starting their baby steps now, getting into AI? What should they start with? What should they look at?
Clean up your data first. Right? Because there's a lot of hype. I mean, you may have the best AI models, right? But if your data assets are not clean, it's all going to mean nothing, just a waste of time and money. And particularly in the hotel industry, where we've had hyper-siloed data environments, right? Your data lake is not going to solve the problem overnight. The quality of the data assets also matter. Also, the shelf life of the data. You know, often people say data is the new oil, and for sure it is, right? But if you look at the big data story, right? Volume, variety, velocity. It's more about smart data. What data are relevant? You have sensors transmitting data all the time. Not all of that data is necessarily useful unless you're able to justify by a use case, right? You can have, depending on the algorithms that you have deployed, and this goes beyond generative AI, because the hype now about AI is because of generative AI. But we've had machine learning historically. In fact, yield management, which started off with the airline industry and then became revenue management in the hotel industry. Machine learning, predictive analytics, that has been around for a long time. So it's not something new. It's about managing the expectations and using the right technology for the right use cases. So instead of saying, oh, this technology is there, scratching my head, how can I use it? Oh, I have this problem. Is there a technology around which I can use to solve my problem? I mean, why is it that with all these tools available, with all the data available, we still haven't moved away from the 12 p.m. checkout and 2 p.m. check-in?
Yeah, that's a big question, actually. I don't have an answer for that. I mean, that's something to think about, right? I mean, like, I think there was a guest also who asked, why is it like this? And no one has answer to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something which we should all look into, not only about from the day one, we should have a clean up data. Otherwise, no matter what you implement, it's gonna just spit out garbage, and it's not gonna make sense anything out of it. Like if you are planning to open a hotel, for an example, and there are no budget limits and all those things, would you include any AI powered experiences that no one is doing yet? Would you be the first one to take a hit?
Well, if I had no budget constraints, so wishful thinking. But yes, why not? See, at the end of the day, as long as that technology, see, when we look at AI, right, there are two aspects to this. One is automation and the other is augmentation, right? Automating back-end workflows, that's standard. It's not just hospitality specific, right? The augmentation aspect is particularly critical in this industry because it's a people's industry. You're augmenting a colleague's ability to better interact with a guest, right? So this has a lot of impact on not just guest satisfaction, but also on employee satisfaction, right? Because, okay, if I feel empowered and if I'm able to make the guest happy, I've served my purpose.
Yeah.
As a colleague, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about fancy AI where I have a robot greeting the guest, right? But today we have the technology to determine whether the guest would prefer a personalized human experience or a robotic mechanical experience. Or a combination of both. I might prefer a human to check me in, take me to my room, and show me where all the controls are, so I don't have to fiddle.
That's the fancy AI, what you're talking about. But then there is a part of storytelling of the data which is telling you a story about. So that kind of AI is also useful in the hotel industry. That's what I assume should happen. That when you are using AI, it should be able to tell you by taking all the markers into consideration and telling a entire guest journey story, that the guest has stayed here, he was happy, he was not happy, he went there, he went here, he has spent this amount, he has then, I mean, giving you a guest profile on their stay. So imagine to a point where I receive a fair rating on booking.com, and then I should go back into this my AI system, and I should be able to pull out the profile of this guest in a way that it tells me the story of his entire stay, what he has done, what time he was checked in, who cleaned the room, who did this, and entire thing. And then I would be able to concentrate and respond in a very structured way, understanding, having that kind of empathy with the guest, seeing what all problems he has faced. I think that's where the magic can happen in hospitality if we look into it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you don't even need to go back to the system because the system pulls out those moments, right, where something may not have gone as per the guest's expectations,
Yeah.
right? And the guest has posted a review, which is also picked up by the system, right? And then it creates an alert saying, okay, this is a legit case, because you also have situations where guests fake it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
looking for freebies,
Yeah.
right? So the ability to overlay the actual guest journey, the guest journey mapping, vis-a-vis any post-stay reviews that are posted, particularly if it's a negative review, right? And then the system itself flags or alerts, right? This is a legit case, better address it, because it validates with the journey that's come through as far as the system is concerned.
Okay. What do you suggest to the general managers of the hotels who think AI is the luxury even now? What do you suggest them how they should look at this AI as in feature or some kind of luxury, which they should leave it only for the hotels who can afford that kind of team, AI teams or something? Does it need to be expensive nowadays?
No, not at all. In fact, AI literacy is something which is now expected. Many non-tech companies are also moving in that direction, where they expect new hires to come with certain level of AI literacy. And again, this is part of something that we do at Thinkers Garden as well, where we work with the industry to give them an insight into the pros and cons, what are the trends, and the trends keep changing. So it's more about learning to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
So it's more like a AI consultancy kind of thing. Like for an example, you hold the hand of people who are not very much aware about how to utilize the AI.
Yeah, and we do it in what we call the human-centered AI approach, where any technological intervention should not come at the expense of the human values, right? For instance, it should not lead to firing people. One of the first things we make clear in our mandate is, if you are looking at deploying AI for reducing your head count, don't talk to us. We are not the people.
All right.
Talk to the consulting companies.
Okay, so you have strong ethics on human-centric approach, which is really good. I mean, that's what I think everyone wants to hear, actually. That's a very good way of putting things, that we are taking. So in the age of machine versus human, you are taking human side. This is really comforting, and it creates a confidence in people who want to implement AI also, because even the ground teams should be in favor of implementation. Otherwise, no implementation would be successful. And if they have this kind of mentality that if this solution get implemented properly, then I might lose my job, right? So,
Absolutely. And this is exactly the fear we try to mitigate, that it needn't be that way, right? And the buy-in has to be not just from the management, but throughout the value chain, through all the stakeholders, right? Because a system is as strong as its weakest link. We've seen, like in my recent past, I've seen multi-million-dollar projects go fail. Why? Because last mile adoption, there was resistance to it.
on the ground.
On the
Yeah,
ground,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's something very critical to any project, actually. No matter how much you have all the fancy KPIs and the implementation tasks and all those things, and on the ground, if people are not in favor of it, it would be very difficult, I would say, right? And it can turn into some costly affair as well, right? Well, in this process, can vendors do a better job of helping hotels think long term? How can the sales pitch become a strategy instead of a short-term solution. How should vendors take the approach in this?
See, typically vendors still speak in that language of per room cost, uh, giving a standard quote, right? If they're able to move a bit forward from this particular approach and bring in value, it's like a value stack, which, okay, it could mean what's the environmental impact? What's the impact on the longevity of the colleagues in the company, right? These aspects, as the if I go for your solution, how will I benefit? Not just in terms of the standard metrics, RevPAR, ADR, cost per room. Change the lingo.
Yeah.
What's the benefit? What's the happiness quotient? Bring in these what people usually tend to call fluff, particularly the bean counters, as I like to call them, the finance people, right?
Now, see, the markers, what you have mentioned, actually, those are quite important, especially it's related to hospitality industry, where you want to retain people touch as well with the guest, where you want to assess how happy they are, where you want to assess how satisfied the guest has left the hotel as well. I think these are very critical markers, and definitely we do talk about profit, which is equally important also. But then if you start giving importance to these markers, eventually it will affect your bottom line, make it good actually. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Well, absolutely. In fact, I'm actually working on a playbook targeted at vendors. Look at the pricing model, right? Either it's a subscription pricing or license, right? Okay, if you're so sure your product is good, right? Why don't you go for a tiered pricing with the hotel? You also sort of share that risk.
That's a very right way of putting. I just had the conversation just yesterday with one of the vendors where they were in fact quoting me on the room-wise the proposal. So number of rooms into multiplied by some dollars and all those things. But then my question was, okay, if I am paying by room and in summer I'm not going to sell those rooms, why am I still paying for those rooms then? Why don't you give me a proposal where you sell me the product by occupied room and not by just the room? So at least I am also making revenue. I am happy to pay you higher as well when I am full. So eventually I'm going to pay you high during the high season also. So in this way, you don't become just a vendor, you become a partner. Yeah, and definitely you guide us through ups and downs, and we implement all those things. I mean, this kind of approach should be there nowadays in this kind of economy, and because now the economy is it's booming, but now everyone is being quite aware about how to negotiate or how to keep their profits tightened and not to overspend on things or technology. And especially in the AI, there is not much of confidence as of now because they haven't seen the return of investment directly in the form of money. They can see the return of investment in the guest happiness. They can see the return of happiness, return of money in the form of employee satisfaction, who are working faster, lesser hours, less burnout. So these are all the important things which AI can help to recover the cost also. I mean, those should be the markers.
No, absolutely. There is what we call the triple bottom line, right? You have the financial, you have the environmental, and then you have the social, right? Unfortunately, the focus, in a real world, it's just on the financial aspect of it, right? But as you pointed out, yeah, when it comes to guest satisfaction, colleague satisfaction, right? These markers are eventually going to impact your bottom line. It's not going to happen overnight, right? So the fact that you have a competitor who might actually be doing this better is something that you should be aware of.
Yeah.
Because in this fast changing world, we cannot think anymore in terms of 5-year plans. I mean, from an accounting perspective, yeah, you can write off an asset in that period.
Yeah.
But sorry to say, I mean, technology is changing so quickly.
Yeah. You cannot
Talking about capex just doesn't make sense anymore in technology, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Okay. So let me ask you some quick questions, like a rapid fire. It won't be just one word. I would really want you to just say at least one line for it, if not one word. All right. What's the most overhyped AI term in the hospitality?
Gen AI.
Gen AI, which everyone is using. They don't know, they know or they don't know, but they are using it everywhere.
I actually had a hotelier thinking that, I mean, when we had that conversation, it took me a while to realize he thought it was generational AI.
Okay. All right. One AI use case that truly impressed you.
Well, there are actually several. I mean, in hospitality, you mean?
In hospitality.
Yeah, the one that I mentioned about with this startup, that were the level of granularity and the ability to map this with the
with
getting
Hoik.
to the
Hoik.
with Hoik.
Okay,
with
all
Hoik.
right, that's great.
Yeah.
Worst pitch you have heard from a vendor.
Quoting on ADR, ROI, per room cost, how this is going to kind of reduce all these metrics without bothering on what's the impact on the guests, what's the impact on colleagues, and more importantly, what's the, well, equally, if not more importantly, what's the impact on environment.
Okay, all right. What's your guilty pleasure travel tech? What do you carry around? I mean, one technology which you always keep it, other than the phone. All right.
Well, these days, the phone pretty much has it all. I don't need to carry anything else with me.
Okay, all right. One buzzword which you want to permanently retire, which you are fed up of hearing.
AI.
Okay. Would you rather innovate with a small team or manage a big transformation? What would you recommend?
Small team, definitely.
Small team.
Yeah.
Why? Could you just...
Well, quick wins, low-hanging fruit. I know there's a contrary argument to that as well, but that begins to instill confidence, and you iterate. It gives you the chance to iterate. If you have to fail quick, fail fast, iterate, and move on.
Okay.
If you start big, it's not
just
faster. To orchestrate the whole sort of ecosystem takes so long.
Yeah.
And then if along the way something goes wrong, the whole edifice collapses.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well said. Rightly said. Well, Sanjay, it was really nice to have this conversation with you. I mean, I think there would not have been any better person than you to have this conversation, because I always catch you in the panels talking something really new, and it's very exciting for me to always have these kind of conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us on Reboot Room, and I hope that I get back you soon, maybe second time also.
Thanks, Mahmood. It was a real pleasure.